Welcome to AstroEnergy with astrologer angel Shelley Overton. Hello, welcome to the AstroEnergy show for September 13th, Tuesday, 2016. My name is Shelley Overton, and I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. I'm hoping that you all can hear me this week. I've had difficulties since the Mercury retrograde, and I keep plugging away at it. So I'm giving it another shot. So anyway, we've got a lot to do this week, a lot going on, and we're going to start a new series on the asteroids, which I'm very excited for because I don't do a lot with the asteroids. I usually use Chiron, and I know a little bit about a couple others, but not a great deal. So I'm actually learning along with you, which is going to be really awesome because I'm always interested in learning about astrology, and I can pass what I learn on to you. So how cool is that? So anyway, so for those of you who haven't heard the show in a few weeks, I will go back over what happened because I actually did redo the show in a live hangout on Google last week because I was so frustrated and I really wanted to get this information out to you all about what's going on. So what I did was not only did I have a blog that I wrote on astrologerangel.com, so you can go there and check it out at astrologerangel.com, but I also did a live broadcast on Hangouts on Air. So I combined that into a video and posted it on YouTube. And if you don't know YouTube or haven't gone to YouTube to check out any of my videos, you can go to YouTube and type in Astrologer Angel, Shelley Overton. Artful Shelley is the title that I use on YouTube. So anyway, go check that out, and hopefully everything is going all right today. I'm using Skype today instead of Direct Connect, so hopefully that will work better than it has in the last couple of weeks. And so last week, it was last week. The week before, all the electricity just completely went out on my computer and my screen and everything. And I tried to get back on, and I went back and forth between different electronics devices, and nothing would work. And I was really frustrated with it. So finally, I got to a point where it would not even let me post as my astrologer angel name on Facebook to let everybody know, or even AstroEnergy to let everybody know what was going on. And so I just gave up for that day. And then last week, I was on, but nobody could hear me. And I assume that was because of the internal call-in program that they use on Blog Talk. So this week I am using Skype. And I know Skype works because I use it on my readings. And so anyway, I'm hoping that you can hear me this week and you can hear everything that's going on properly. So let's just look at what's going on in the sky now and talk about that. Then we could get to our subject and our calls. So currently I'm going to go again, I'm doing a natural chart, meaning I put in the time, but the chart wheel is lined up for Aries on the cusp. That means that Aries is the first house, which is the natural ruler, and all the other planets fall into where they actually rule in this chart. So that way everybody's on the same page and I don't have to say, oh, in my time zone. So Aries is on the first house cusp, and Uranus is at 23 degrees retrograde Aries, trining Mars today. And that means that we have electrical energy, and Uranus in Aries is ruled by Mars. So it's in positive aspect to the ruler of that particular sign right now. So it's in another fire sign. They're both fire signs, Sagittarius. And so Mars is actually helping Uranus to get things done and take action, which is what Sagittarius, Mars and Sagittarius loves to do, is take forward motion, momentum, action, and get it done. So we're seeing a lot of that today, and it's so true because I've got about 12 projects I'm working on right now, and finishing up my book, writing it, and then it has to go to editing, and then we're going to get it published. So that's kind of where we're at with that, and definitely have things going on today. You should too. There is a north node in 12 degrees of Virgo, and there's nothing between Aries and Virgo I'm not doing the asteroids right now. I'm just doing planets. So nothing in Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, or Leo. Virgo, 12-degree north node. So that means the south node is at 12 degrees Pisces. So the north node is in an approaching conjunction with Mercury. He's 8 degrees away at 20 Virgo. And so there's some energy around communication and learning how to communicate. When you have a north node, it's the energy that people have to learn about. It's what we're working on learning about right now. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury, so Mercury is going to be approaching the north node again. And the nodes are actually forward right now. They retrograde and go forward fairly regularly. Like I would say probably every 3 weeks they change directions. So I have to look it up. Let me see if I can find that for you. Nodes. Oh, not even that. They're retrograde most of the time. And they actually go through the zodiac retrograde because, and I'm going to stick by that. I will double check that, but I'm pretty sure they go retrograde through the zodiac. I don't know why that. I know that there's one entity that does, and for some reason it's not syncing in, but I'm looking here. It's retrograde, I would say, all but 1 week out of the month all the time. They're always in retrograde. So anyway, you would think I would have that memorized, but you know what? I just am finishing up writing a book, and there's only so much my brain can hold. Anyway, so the nodes are, they're direct, which is really rare energy, and Mercury is coming up closer and closer. So it's about the energy of communication and thought and expression and how it relates to the tangible world. Of course, Mercury is retrograde, which means that it somewhat channels the opposite energy of Pisces. It isn't as much on its game. It's a little bit dreamy, so to speak, and not getting the details well. So we've got that energy going on. I don't know if you've had any difficulty with the electrical energy, but I certainly have. I have had my share, mostly with the radio show, and interestingly, always look to buy new computers and cars during this time. Not surprising because it rules electronics and transportation. Mercury does anyway, transportation. So that's going on, and then so we're learning about this energy. We're learning about Virgo right now really strongly. Sun in Virgo, ego around service and helping others, medicine. Of course, it really goes well with medicine because that's what they do. They're helpers. And teachers, also helpers. So this is really interesting when we get to Vesta. I'll explain that in a minute. Jupiter at 0 degrees Libra. We just moved into that last week, and now we've got this really strong. Oh, and I forgot. I'm sorry. Back up real quick. Sun is in conjunct Uranus today, and it's going to be approaching over the next couple days. So going to be energy around communication and miscommunication and weather on some level, probably storms. I know we're going through the whole Ian thing coming out. Well, I don't know that we're going to actually get hit by Ian. It's a forming hurricane out in the Atlantic, but we are definitely feeling different, like chaotic weather here in Orlando. And so that's going to continue. Of course, Sun is the identity or the ego of the energy. So it's about having that expression. And so Uranus is wanting freedom, and Virgo wants everything to be in a certain detail and very analytical, very critical. So Uranus in Aries is kind of at an uncomfortable energy for the Sun, which of course, being that Uranus is trine to Mars, it is square to the Sun right now at exactly this degree, at 21 degrees today. So the Sun in the next couple hours will actually be exact in square to Mars in Sagittarius. So that also means, so you have the working together of the energy and the ideas and making those work for you, and also entrepreneurial energy is moving forward on some level, but there may be some better understanding of it, clarity that isn't necessarily coming across because of Uranus retrograde. But then you have the Sun, which is wanting to add what is needed, the details, and pretty much being ignored by both Uranus and Mars. So Mars doesn't want to deal with details, and Uranus usually deals with details, but not in Aries and not retrograde. So that's what's going to really be the difficulty here with what goes on if you're taking action today, is that something's being missed. We're not completely being humble, actually, even, because Mars and the Aries, Uranus energy, and Sagittarius, all of that energy is very much about just doing its own thing and not really paying attention to the service aspect. So you need to pay attention to the service aspect. And with Mercury retrograde, I can tell you it's not going to be good if you don't, because Mercury will be coming up again on Uranus. I believe it's in October. I don't have all these dates because I have so much that I put down. I didn't put all the dates into October, but I did put the September ones. So it's coming up, and I will alert you when that happens, when Mercury inconjuncts exactly. He's actually moving out of the inconjunct because Uranus is at 23 and Mercury is at 20. So he's moving backwards. He's going back to the smaller degrees. So, yeah. Anyway, on to Jupiter. Jupiter in Libra. Have you been feeling this energy? I posted a few things on the Astrologer Angels fan page on Facebook about this, that there was an increase in August, a noticeable increase in marriages in Colorado, and, that's Jupiter in Libra. And even in the article, it said we haven't seen this amount of marriage marriage certificate applications for 12 years, and that's exactly how long it's been since Jupiter was in Libra last. So there you go. And then Venus in Libra also wanting to get married. She is in opposition to Uranus as well, or an approaching opposition. She's within 6 degrees of Uranus, and so the energy is, opposition to Uranus. The energy is balancing out, and it's a little bit difficult to balance because Venus is feminine energy and desire nature, and she wants everything to go well. Uranus is being very masculine with his trine to Mars, and so he wants everything to be like just action-based and sexual-driven and, like expressing that testosterone. And Venus wants it to be receptive and cooperative. So even though there is an opposition there, and there's a sextile between Venus and Mars approaching as well in the next day, so actually probably in the next 3 days. And so Venus is feeling really ready to be out and about and find her lover or her partner, and you can find someone now. It's going to be a very enmeshed sexual, physical, passionate type of energy right now, which is really great. Going out and doing things for entertainment and taking action around enjoyment is the way to meet someone right now, with Venus in Libra and Mars in Sagittarius. So anyway, let's see. So then we have Saturn in 10 degrees Sagittarius squaring Neptune at exactly 10. And Saturn just moved a little bit beyond it because they're at different minutes. So Saturn's at 32 minutes and Neptune's at 19. So he's already past the exact, but that was yesterday. And so actually it might have been a little bit before that. I probably mentioned it in my article. I know I mentioned it in my article, which I don't have next to me right now. But anyway, that square means that there is a change around spirituality and what we believe, what our belief system is really strongly coming into play. Neptune will go direct. I doubt he will run into Saturn again because he's so slow. Saturn's pretty much going to move past this exact square. But we have Mars at 21 right after him. And Mars, like I said, is sextiling Venus. He's also squaring all the Virgo energy right now at Mercury at 20 and Sun at 21. So again, I already mentioned that we're having this wanting to take action but not following the details, which is how we have accidents. And right now is a highly accident-prone time. Still, as long as we have Mercury retrograde in Virgo, it's going to be accident-prone. Throw into it Mars and Sagittarius, and you're going to just have even more intense energy around that. So I've been extra cautious when I go out of the house. And, I normally have cuts and bruises all over me. I ran into furniture yesterday a couple times in a row. Like I knocked it and then I moved away and knocked it again. So yeah, just be careful of taking physical action around things and your details. Pluto in Capricorn retrograde, squaring Venus today, actually just out of the square because Venus is at 17 and Pluto's at 14, but they are still within the realm of square. So there is some structural, old world, old way traditions that are being okay, so Venus is in positive aspect to Sagittarius, which wants freedom, freedom of expression and movement. And Pluto wants to take us down to the physical, tangible world and take us backwards, because he's retrograde, back to how it used to be, how things were traditionally. So now is a time where Pluto's really wanting us to take time to court, ask people out on dates, be responsible to the person that you ask out. Don't forget to, open the door, or, if you're a guy, I know it's really old school, it's traditional. That's the energy right now. And we're very chivalrous in this energy, and that's what Pluto wants us to observe. Now, Venus and Mars kind of have different ideas. Mars isn't too far off of moving into that energy, but is still cooperating with Venus around the adventure and the popping up of ideas and taking action on them. So if you come up with some really fun way to spend your time, definitely, go with it. Okay, Moon in Aquarius at 7 degrees. Moon is sextile to Saturn today, and he is semi-sextile to Neptune. So there's a little bit of Neptune disagreement. So again, Neptune wants to be in the water, wants to be in the emotions and the mystical side of things. And Moon wants to just be clear and intelligent and have everything very out in the open, working together, cooperation. And Neptune wants to just kind of kick back and be chill. And Moon in Aquarius is an energy of, like I said, clarity and thought and ideas, inventions. So we're going to see that for the next couple of days while the Moon is in Aquarius. Neptune in 10 degrees Pisces, and he is square to Saturn, like I said. Those are really, square and the semi-sextile to the Moon are really the two things going on with Neptune right now. And so that means that, again, we're trying to understand what our belief system is. We may have some difficulty, but now Saturn is direct, so there is a chance that things are going to change strongly. The structure of our belief system and our spiritual life is changing. Education, everything I list every week, education, spirituality, travel, music, real estate, also trying to get past. Actually, Neptune retrograde is having us really look at the truth. If you're thinking about buying some property, look at what's really behind it. And because Neptune's retrograde, I would say it has to do with water systems, plumbing. I have a house, I've told you many times on the show that the water is not the best in this house. And it's starting to irritate me more right now, of course, because I also have Uranus within a couple degrees of an opposition to Neptune and a square to Saturn in the sky right now. So I'm not terribly happy with the water right now because my laundry is not getting clean. It's got rust in it. So I'm still battling that issue, and we'll see how everything comes together probably in December when Sun catches up with Saturn, and it goes past that Neptune and then catches up with Saturn. That should be a good time to take that ownership and get it done. Anyway, that's what's going on in the sky right now. And I'm just looking here for my information on Vesta. So Vesta. Okay, so if you listen to the show, you hear me talk about Vesta. And Vesta, sometimes there are observations and sometimes there's information that I know from research. And mostly Vesta, there has been research, but a lot of times Vesta, I've noticed a pattern of difficulty from women wherever Vesta moves through the chart. And right now while I'm talking, I'm just going to create here an aspect chart so I can aspect with the asteroids, so I can talk about a little bit about her right now too. So Vesta's in Cancer right now at 19 degrees. Vesta, the energy, is generally, not generally. I'll tell you what I think. Vesta is a person that's a bit difficult at times, and being the person that has a really strong Aquarius energy and Uranus energy in my chart, and very bristly about restriction, which is ironic for a Virgo. But one thing I read about Vesta, which I tend to agree with, because everything about Vesta screams Virgo, and because Virgo shares rulership of the sign with Mercury, I think that there is room for a secondary ruler, and I would say Vesta is it, even though I heard rumor that Vulcan is, when it's discovered, is the ultimate ruler of Virgo. I don't think so. Vestal virgins, this is what it's based on. So Vesta, it represents energetically the energy of Vestal virgins and the imagery, and that's what astrology does. It's archetype, it's symbology, it's common thought around an energy. And so when these planets and asteroids are named, the energy given to them vibrationally of their name is imbued into that astrological archetype. So the Vestal virgins, just to give you a little idea, it was based in Roman priestesses that came about between, let's see, what are the dates here, 673 BC and 717 BC. So it was very, very old in Rome. The priestesses were a group of, it was actually a priestesshood in the church at the time, and they were given the responsibility of keeping information and valuables that higher ups and, say, politicians or noblemen, noble people had and wanted to keep safe, documents that they needed to be contained and kept secure were given to these priestesses, and so they were considered the keepers of these items and documents. There was a vestal, a vessel, which held an eternal flame, a fire that they kept burning, and they were assigned to make sure it kept burning. And it was actually considered a holding fire. And I can't remember, I read about what it was for, but I don't remember exactly. I think that they used the fire and flame to initiate events. So they were kind of blessed in these sacred events. And so what happened was that when girls were between 6 and 10 years old, they would actually, their families would commit them to the service if they were asked. And when they were asked, not everybody wanted to do it, of course. They were generally taken from noble families and families of substance. And there would be like a taking away of these children, these girls, and they would be committed to 30 years of service and they would be virgins. So they would be virgins for 30 years, and they would take care of the flame, and they would do these rituals around that, and they were considered a goddess of the hearth and the home. So I kind of want to say, kept the home fires burning. So I'm going to just give that to you because that's the imagery that's coming to me. When they were out and about, they were given the right of way. If you ran across them, you'd have to stop and give them the right of way out in public. And then they could absolve or let go the criminal if they wanted to. They could pardon criminals right away, and it would be considered good, and they would be let loose. If a criminal was, say, on the way to jail and a Vestal virgin crossed their path, they were immediately pardoned and released, and they were absolved of their crimes. So they were really powerful in society, but they did have, it said they were freed from the usual obligations, and that's in quote, to marry and bear children for 30 years. But after they were released from service at 30 years, they were only held for 30 years, so they would be like around 40 or 36 to 40 when they were released, and they could marry. And it was considered to be a very auspicious thing to marry a Vestal virgin, and it was good luck, and it was considered to be a symbol of good luck and prosperity, and that you would get a comfortable pension because these virgins would have a pension for the rest of their lives once they were released from service. And so the other thing is that they would get, what was it? Sorry. There was something I wanted to, they were salaried. That's it. They were salaried from the public treasury. So they had their own income, And they also were able to buy property, which no other women in the time were able to do, other than only men were able to do it. And so they were actually able to buy property, which I found really interesting. And then this is the last thing about them, that they were, it's called the College of Vestals, and it was disbanded in 394 AD, and the sacred fire was extinguished, and the Christian emperor Theodosius Zosimus, his niece Serena, took a necklace off the statue of the goddess in the temple of the Vestals and placed it on her own neck. And later she was subjected to nightmares of her own untimely death after the last Vestal entered, the last Vestal that was there at the time, because it was dying out. She entered and rebuked her for her actions of taking this necklace off. And the emperor's niece had done it. And so obviously, it was kind of an egoic, arrogant type of thing to do, I would think. And then Augustine was inspired in ancient times. The writer Augustine wrote The City of God, and he referred to the capture of Rome and the disintegration of the tolerance for, quote, old gods who defended the city for thousands of years, which the Vestal Virgins would represent. And so basically they were students, teachers, and servants. And so the imagery of the Vestal Virgin and the Virgin Virgo, the Virgin, definitely connects to this symbology. So I find it really interesting. And so when you look at where Vesta is in your chart, that's where you are keeper of the information and keeper of the flame, so to speak, but also represents home and hearth and how you interact with women around home and hearth. So yes, it can be the shrew, because they were patriarchal probably matriarchal in some sense, but definitely gearing more towards the structured side of things as opposed to the warm, nurturing side. So you can imbue that Vesta energy in your chart with all these symbologies of the teacher and the protector, because I know I did a mini reading for a friend this week, and we looked at Vesta, which was really close to the horizon in her boyfriend's chart, and he was always very overly protective of her, and it was right there next to his sun. So that gives you a little idea of how Vesta can come out in your chart. Anyway, so there you have that. And I just got from the chat room that you can hear me, so I'm so excited that I have my radio show back. But just knocked my headset. Whoops. Hopefully that did not derail me. Anyway, I'm going to take a quickie break, and then we're going to come back and take calls. Yay! So we'll see you in a minute. In these days of stress, running around, responsibilities, we all need a little place to go to make it all better. Is that place sports, football, or maybe you like to garden, paint, or just listen to music? Wherever your happy place is, you can find a shirt or mug to reflect that happy place. At myhappyplace.rocks, we have a variety of lifestyle products, including iPhone cases, pajamas, and pet items, all with beautiful, colorful designs, which help us go to our happy place. Stop by on the web for great gift ideas for others and yourself. myhappyplace.rocks. Lenny Pickett appears courtesy of Random Act Records. Check them out at randomactrecords.com. Okay, anyway, we're back. My name is Shelley Overton. I am an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and I love doing readings. I love doing private readings, and I give you so much information. I record it for you, and you can also take notes, but I send you the recording within about a day, and it's a good thing because it's always so chock full of information from your chart when I do a reading, and I just want to let you know about that. I do readings at astrologerangel.com. You can go to the readings tab or click the schedule a reading button right on the first page. Also, let's see what else. I wanted to tell you that, what did I want to tell you? I just had it a minute ago. Thank you, Mercury. Oh yeah, the eclipse coming up, and moon in Pisces. So full moon in Pisces and a lunar eclipse coming up is it lunar or solar? Hang on a second. I'm going to get that. Why? Lunar. Yeah, I thought it was a lunar. And it's Friday the 16th and happens at 3:05 p.m. Eastern, 12:05 Pacific p.m. So full moon in Pisces, very much dreamy. You're going to probably be very tired. It's going to be a watery day, so with all the other aspects going on with weather and Uranus, and then a full moon in Pisces with Neptune, it's going to be very watery. I wouldn't be surprised if we have flooding somewhere, and I know they were talking about flooding this coming up in the next couple of days here in Florida on the coasts. So, that's definitely in alignment. And so, the usual Pisces suspects. Also, interestingly, my friend that I have, that I just mentioned before the break, she is doing photography. I was actually going to do some photography for her because that's a hobby of mine. And she ended up getting a different photographer. So photography is going to be really big in film. Film and photography are two expressions of this wonderful Pisces energy. So also universal love and caring, and, let's just all give ourselves a hug on Friday, shall we? And then the eclipse is going to be, again, like a blinking on and off of energy. It's like a window opening or a portal of energy that gives us something, and it may be something that goes away, especially in Pisces, which is endings symbology, but it can also be a new beginning. So just know that especially because right afterwards, Moon goes into Pisces or into Aries the next day, which is new beginnings. So that energy, I'm guessing, right after the Friday full moon is going to be a little bit uncomfortable because the Moon goes into Aries in a kind of difficult position to other planets and all the Sun Virgo planets. Is going to be approaching in conjunct. So there could be something coming up over the weekend into the next week around that Moon in Aries, which is always expressing assertive, more aggressive energy. So we're going to have that universal love moment and then take action right afterwards. So okay, let's get into our calls because we haven't taken calls in 3 weeks. Oh, my gosh. Hi, 828. How are you?
Hi, Shelley. This is Danielle. I'm okay. How are you?
Danielle, I'm good. What's going on for you?
Well, I'm still in a full situation with black mold in my apartment. And they're supposed to come.
All that Pisces stuff.
Uh-huh. And the 8th house. The Pisces 12th house. But they're coming over today to do a mold test, and I had to file a tenant assertion with the courts, and I don't see the judge for 2 weeks. This has been going on for 2 months. They keep telling me there's not mold in here. There was visible mold in here. Water came in the apartment. Everybody knows it's been over here, and they talked to me, and everybody knows it's black mold, and the realtor and the owner are refusing to do anything about it, and they didn't tell the buyer that was interested in buying the property about the mold. So when the appraiser came over, I spilled the beans, told them everything that's been going on, and they informed the bank and the buyer, and I just want to know what you could see happening.
Okay, well, I can tell you right now is probably the most difficult part of it, and your Neptune in your 8th is joint possessions and property, but you've got Virgo going through your 2nd house, so that's the wanting to get things cleared up. Mercury is still retrograde, and it's moving away from probably the answer. It goes direct on the 21st, so you've got 8 days, and then right after that, you've got Jupiter going into your house of communications and understanding. That's going to be good because then it's more clarity, and it's also finding a balance with it. Then you have Saturn moving into, or actually out of your 4th house, which is really good too, because that means some action is going to be taken. It's a culmination energy and an initiation of some of the fallout, the physical fallout from what's going on in the house, and also Sagittarius rules real estate. So hang on a second, and then Virgo, of course, in the 2nd rules all the health issues around it. So I'm going to just tell you when he gets there. 12 degrees and 22 minutes is around the 11th of October. So I see your frustration. I feel your frustration. I mean, there's a lot of difficult aspects going on affecting this in your chart. But, another positive thing is Pluto in the House of Health and also structures is going direct on the 26th, I want to say. I think it's the 26th or the 28th.
And I have the court date on the 27th.
Okay, so that's actually a major time of shift and change. Obviously when Pluto changes directions or signs, that's when you hit, and it's the 26th. So it's the day before it happens. So that, I think, is going to be like your ace in the hole for what goes on. And that's also, and by then Mercury will be going direct as well, which means that Mercury goes all the way back to 14, which is where Pluto is. So it's kind of like right around that week. I'm guessing that's when you're going to get the resolution you're looking for. And you're in a Jupiter return now too. Within 1 minute of time, Jupiter right now is at 0:51 and your natal is 0:52. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So, and the shift of Jupiter into 3. Pardon me?
Why are these people keep playing games? This has been going on for 2 months, and they're not wanting to do the repair.
Okay, who is responsible for it?
Well,
the repair people? Are they repair people, or is it a landlord?
There's the landlord, which I've never talked to, but I'm dealing with the people at the property management.
Okay.
And she's the one that's been lying and telling me that I'm causing problems for calling city code inspection and telling me there's not mold in here when there damn sure is mold in here.
Mhm. Do you have photos?
Yeah, I got photos. I had to rip out the inside of the cabinets because it was full of mold. The back side of the panels, and they wouldn't send anybody over here to take it out, so I took it out myself.
Wow. Well,
go ahead.
There's still stuff. No, I was just going to say, I mean, the fact that you have Jupiter next to Saturn and you also have a Jupiter return, I do think that things are going to get resolved. I mean, it's the great benefic. What it needs to do is it needs to move into the second house from the second, okay, which is the actual manifestation of the fortune, actual getting what you're trying to getting the reward from what you've gone through from the second house. And you're also, again, Mercury moving forward. Mercury's in Virgo, health issues. And then Mercury, of course, is in the sign opposite Neptune. Neptune's the water issue, and that falls in your house of basically what is the administrative or the legal side of the landlord. So, you're battling a Neptune retrograde. Basically, they're in denial. And it's going to resolve. It will. And everything is on your side. You've got Jupiter down there opposing it, and they're basically just trying to deny, but they're not going to get away with it. Especially with Saturn is about to move. I told you in October 11th, Saturn moves into your 5th house. Jupiter in the next couple of days is moving into your 3rd house. So, they're both changing areas of your chart, and Pluto also goes direct, which is right on the cusp of the house of health as well. So everything in your chart is definitely moving forward. And really what happens is and also having the Neptune in their 8th house, and your 8th house, but the second from your landlord, he's having to recognize the truth of it. That's what Neptune retrograde does. It clears, the mindset. So, and how they're perceiving. So, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I'm on the verge of a nervous breakdown, and my head's been hurting. I've been trying to eat as healthy as I can and taking turpentine and doing coffee enemas to try and clear out what's gotten into me.
Do you have any way of staying with someone else until it's resolved? Like family members or a friend?
No. All the friends have those toxic cleaners and chemicals in every corner. It's like a nuclear waste dump in everybody's house because they got those toxic cleaners, and I can't breathe that stuff. And I already left Roanoke once and went back to Asheville for a month. And then I came back thinking the situation was fixed, and it wasn't.
And you've talked to health. I don't know. I don't even know who to tell you in government. Health and Human Services. Have you talked to anyone in the county?
Yeah, they told me to go to the judge, and that's what I did, and I see him in 2 weeks.
Okay, go back again, and if I were you, I would even look into news advocates and say, because they love this kind of thing. News advocates on the news, they love to grab hold of something where people are not getting what they need, and it's such an obvious situation. I mean, your story sounds exactly like the kind of stuff they report on. I would start ramping up and basically forcing their hand and saying, you know what, I'm just going to start promoting it to other people because you're not listening to me. And that's what you got to do. And, you got to escalate it. That's the best advice I've got for you until the day, I can't make it move any faster. I can only give you advice to try and connect to what you can do, So, and especially with Mars right now is saying, and interestingly in the chart, Mars is 2 degrees off of your natal Neptune in Sagittarius. I'm pretty sure you don't have a difficult time speaking up for yourself when you need to. And I know you can, and now's the time to do it. So I would just keep after. I would sit there with, I don't know. You normally, or you used to have a yellow pages open and just go down the numbers, but go to the county website and go to the news centers and we have local newspapers and I have in other big cities I've been in that have like these independent papers where they love to talk about local stories that are, less than honest, and call them. Just start ramping it up, looking for an advocate. You have to start acting on your own behalf even further than what you've done. I know you've done a lot. I know you're frustrated, but that's my best advice to you until things shift, and I think they will. I just think you're going to have to wait a couple more weeks, though.
Okay, yeah, because I thought about going to the news station. Actually,
do
and
it.
they do
Don't
have
hesitate.
And they do have the Roanoke Times here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what Mercury right now retrograde and it's going through the last 6 degrees before he goes direct. That's what it is. It's about like, you're not listening to me. I need you to listen to me. And so what you're doing now, if you hit it now, there's going to be a moment when it does break and they're going to listen because it's going back over saying, are you being listened to? These are your issues. You're in the Virgo territory. What's happening? Everything's Virgo. Like, again, with Jupiter just wrapping up its time in Virgo, it was about not being ignored. And now Mercury is saying, did you get that message? So if you're being ignored, then you need to do what it takes to get attention. You have to be the squeaky wheel now. That's all I can tell you right now, Danielle. That's what I have.
Well, thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome. I'm sorry. I'll send good thoughts your way, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I'll say a couple prayers for you. Okay. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Okay, 817. Hi, 817. How are you?
Oh, hey, Shelley, it's Nancy. I haven't. I've been so disappointed the last couple of Mercury retrograde. You have a problem.
I know. You and me both. I'm like, okay, this is not okay. I even wrote to Blog Talk. I'm like, okay, no, this is not going to work for me. And then they didn't respond, of course, because Mercury retrograde. And I just found I worked around it, and now we're here. So,
exactly.
What can I do for you?
I don't have any major. I've just got a lot going. Trying to decide which way to go. Whether we haven't. My husband and I are deciding whether we stay where we are. Have a changing of minds. We find a great property, then it doesn't work out, and so then we find something else. And anyway, so right now we're not putting an offer in on anything, but we've got 2 different directions we could go, which would stay kind of where we are, and the other one is to possibly move a little further south. And so we're just trying to decide, or just stick it out where we are and wait another. We're just kind of up in the air.
Well, I can tell you Neptune retrograde is pulling you away from doing something with property right now because it's dabbling with the cusp of moving into joint property. And I would tell you, if you can wait till Neptune actually crosses that threshold, it's going to go better for you. And I'm looking it up now. Hang on a second. Neptune goes direct, I want to say in November. Yeah, November 20th. You'll have direct motion. Of course, he was retrograde, so now he's got to catch back up to where he was, and then he has to get into your house of property. And because Neptune is so flipping slow, it's going to take him a little bit of time, and it's going to be actually March of next year when he finally gets into that house. It might even be into April, only because it's such a late degree in your cusp. It's 12 degrees and 55 minutes, and so he'll actually get there. I'll write this date down if you want. It's April 4th.
Okay.
April 4th, 2017, Neptune finally gets into your house of joint finances and joint possessions. And that's as far as finding your quote-unquote dream property, that's going to be a big time for you. And because that's what he rules. And then Saturn is also at the end degrees of Sagittarius at that time. And so I'm guessing that you're going to probably find something in March, and then you're not sure and you may waffle, and then Saturn will go back and you'll probably end up going back to that property and say, I really like that. So if you're seeing something now that you can't get, you might end up going back to it in March of next year, because Saturn retrograde at the end degrees of Sagittarius says that's what's going to happen. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of just want to get out of where we are, because we also have mold issues with the house that we've been renting for 3 years.
Goodness.
So yeah, I know. We've been trying to find the right place. It's just a very wet basement, and we're like, all right, well, we're just kind of putting it out there. Let's find this place and get out, and
right.
It's figuring out.
Well, interestingly, you both have Leo risings. You and the last caller, and so she has Leo at 10, and you have Leo at 16. You both have Pisces in the 8th house of possessions and water energy. So, and interestingly, I have.
What? Because
I use porphyry system.
Oh, okay, different system. All right.
Yeah,
well,
that's the system that I use. I swear by is porphyry. That's the one I've researched and checked it out. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, that changes a lot.
What do you have? Because you do have a couple planets near the cusp, but what do you usually use?
I use it where I have a Capricorn rising with Pluto crossing the horizon now with Saturn and Jupiter in my house.
Wait a minute. Did we have a difference of time for you? Did you change your time with me? Time of
shouldn't
birth?
Have, no.
Okay, well, let's double check the time I have for you. I've got you at PM.
Okay.
That's why it's off. Okay. But it still puts, I'm pretty sure it'll put Pisces in the house of property. It's still property. If it's not joint property, it's still property. So let me just save and replace your chart. How did we do that all this time? That's really crazy. Okay, because,
when you did the reading for us, it was right, so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
By the
maybe
way,
there was.
You are correct.
Mercury is retrograde, so anything can happen. Right. What was that?
I said people should hire you for reading. You're fabulous in a reading. I've had one. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And I'm probably
no, it does put. Yeah, Neptune is in your house of property, the second house of possessions and property. That's where it is. So it's just a reverse. You're right. It's Capricorn instead of Leo, because it just flip flopped it.
Okay.
So, but
anyway, it'd be hard to handle.
Yeah. So. Okay, so that kind of changes it a little bit, but still, let's see what we have with Sagittarius. Okay, I remember. So you had the whole problem with the lady who was giving you a hard time with property you'd had together.
Right.
So, and you've got Pluto in the first house now. Your husband is pretty close to a similar chart, right?
Yes.
Okay. Saturn in Sagittarius is property, and right now, you're looking for a property that you can do a career with or use as a career, like a bed and breakfast?
Well, maybe. We would like something that can bring us income at the same time as continuing our current work would be great, too. But we have jobs. It's just if we could find a way to move away from relying on corporate America, that'd be great.
Well, for you, so this is part of it. Yeah, I know, right? Tell me about it. So Jupiter is out of your 8th house, which is good, because that means, it's expansion, and the fortune that, from what you had dealt with this lady and the legal issues you had, that's all good. And I know that happened when Jupiter got to Virgo right on the cusp. Mercury is still up there, retrograde. Mm-hmm. So again, that would be waiting for Mercury to go direct Neptune direct in November is definitely going to help as far as finding the ideal thing. And then Mars getting out of your 12th house now, that's a big thing, because Mars in the property, because what I'm seeing is if you find something now, you're going to have the same issues. You don't want that.
Okay.
So there's a window. You need to make the window, and let's see if you can even do it. So what you need to do, because the window is Saturn moving into the 12th house, and that means that there's going to be responsibility for these issues structurally. So I'm a little concerned about that, because if you get something and then you're in it and then Saturn moves to your 12th house, you may end up with similar issues. But it's going to be there for 2.5 years, and you can't put your life on hold for astrology, right? So what you want is Mars out of the 12th and Saturn to not be in the 12th yet. So there's this window of opportunity. So Mars going into Capricorn, and you can do it because Saturn won't get there until December. So if you want to do it this year before March, I would say before December. And Mars goes in the last day, or actually the 28th of September, Mars goes into Capricorn, and then he gets to your actual first house on the 13th of October. So between October 13th and the 4th of December. So you've got, month and a half if you want to utilize that energy. That would be what I would consider prime energy, because there's a change of structure. Mars gets up to Pluto, and then things shift for you more. Okay?
The property that we're considering looking at that's 3 hours south of us, but now we can't get in there till after December 15th, and which would require us to move. It's just whether I can work. I can work remote, so if I can continue my working remote, we may. We'll see. I don't know, but well, that's good to know. It's a possibility this year. I will put those windows, and that is, we weren't obviously doing anything during Mercury retrograde. We've looked at properties, but there's no offer going anywhere until after that goes direct. So we can. What
I see, Jupiter up in your 9th house, that's the Sagittarius house. Again, the connection to real estate. You have Jupiter ruling that house in Libra, so that is fortunate, but I'm honestly going to tell you, I think next year is a much better time if you find something in the interim, because Jupiter will be on your Neptune at the end of next year. He'll get close this year in December, but he won't be on it. He'll be on it next year at this time, and that's property, because it's Sagittarius. I mean, it's real estate. I want to get clear, it's real estate. And the other thing is, next year at this time, or actually into January of 2018, that's when Pluto gets, let me see, I'm trying to remember, what was it? There was something moving. I think it's Saturn into Capricorn. That's when, I mean, for you, it's going to line up in your first house, and I think prices in real estate are really going to drop then. I think that the whole bubble, the bubble bursting that we went through in 2007, 2008 is going to hit again with Saturn saying, okay, you got away with it before, but now you don't, because Saturn's going to say, no. Here's the paycheck or the bill. And when that happens in January 2018, it's right almost in alignment with your first house. So you're going to pay higher prices between now and January of 2018. If you wait, your Jupiter's on your Neptune, and you have something coming in that could really expand your world in your career with your husband, especially partnership, because that's what you have. And I think there's going to be a long-distance move associated with it, and I think it's a major life change with career or expression of career. It's going to be a shift. And so if you can do a year and not buy something, you might actually be in a better position to get what you want farther away from where you are now, but also take advantage of lower real estate prices.
That's good advice. Not at the end of the world. It's just, get so sick of this house being so wet. I mean, we love the house. We love the location. It's just,
the eclipse in Pisces on Friday, that's the theme. So pay attention to that, because that's where you're going to have to shift it. Like, that's what's going to shift. And that will be a really, big spotlight on the issue to see what's going on with it. And that goes for Danielle if she's still listening. It's the eclipse in Pisces. and it's a full moon. So it's the culmination. I just wrote this chapter in my book. I'm writing my book, finishing my book. I just wrote this full moon in Pisces chapter. So yeah, definitely, the culmination of what's going on with the water issues, and remember, the water issues are also a metaphor for something in your world and a belief system, or you wouldn't be attracting that energy into your world. So, look to what the emotional, psychological connections are, not just like, oh, well, that really bums me out. I can't stand having mold. But what is it in your world, in your belief system, that may translate to something that's kind of stinky thinking, and that can help you, and you can clear out the energy. So just a little energetic advice for you.
I agree.
Okay.
That sounds like great advice, and I agree with that 100%. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time.
Okay.
You're
welcome. My pleasure.
Yay.
Thank you. Me too. Okay. Take care. Have a good full moon.
Okay,
Bye. Okay. 646. How are you?
Hi, Shelley. This is Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
Hello.
Hi. Hi. You called the show before?
No, I never have.
Wonderful. A new caller. I'm so excited. So give me 1 second to set up your chart. And okay. So give me your birth information, then you can tell me what you're calling for. Okay?
Okay. It's November 20th, 1961.
Okay.
At 1:20 p.m.
Okay.
In Baltimore,
Okay.
Maryland.
Wonderful. Okay. So what can I do for you today?
I have a question about career. I'm a children's book writer, and I've been doing that for a long time. But I started writing a novel for adults, and it feels a little risky, and I'm just wondering if there's anything in my chart that says if that's a good move, how that might turn out.
Okay. I'm just going to double check your time because I'm like, wow, children's book writer? I don't know where I see that in your chart, but that's interesting. Okay. So November 20th, 1961 at 1:20 p.m., Baltimore, Maryland, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure after the last call and we got a different time that I've always had. I just want to make sure that everything's good. Okay, so writing is the third house, and it can also be Libra energy, and I'm just looking for that real quick in your chart. So Libra is in your 8th house and a little bit in your house of marriage and partnerships. So that's interesting. You do have Mars in Sagittarius, which is very childlike energy. Do you do books that are incorporated with, like, education?
Sometimes my books are used in schools, but it's mostly fiction. It's, like literary fiction.
Okay, awesome. And you're thinking of doing an adult book?
Yeah, I've actually been working on it for a few years. I'm still working on it now, but it's a change.
Right. So what do you want to know about that?
I'm just wondering if that looks like a good move, if it looks like it could have a positive outcome, or is it going to be, a disaster? Should I just stay with the children's books, or?
No, I don't necessarily. Well, there's definitely Leo in your house of creativity and children. That's that area. But your chart, you have a lot of intense energy around mysteries and mystery writing novels. Do you do anything like that?
No, I do more like realistic fiction or sometimes magical realism.
Oh, okay. So, that's interesting. Really cool. Definitely Jupiter near your Saturn. Saturn's your life purpose. And you have Pluto at the very end degree of your career house and Mars just moving into your career house in Sagittarius. This means Sagittarius is the whimsical fun side of things, the magical side of things, but Pluto is the tangible structural thing, and it's going to be coming up on your Saturn the end of next year. And so major life change the end of next year around career and how you earn money from career, and I definitely think it's going to be something more, if you're not already, I don't know if you work for a publisher or do any kind of corporate work, that's shifting. And Jupiter, definitely what I'm saying is there is a shift in your chart, and it's very, for lack of a better word, and I wish I had a better word, but somber, meaning it's more down to earth and more tangible, more structured. And it's like, I want to have something, mature, which is Saturn and Capricorn. That's the mature thing coming in. But there's also a shift and change right after it into let me see, when did I say Saturn? Was it Saturn going in? Yeah, Saturn's going into Capricorn in January 2018. And that's when it's going to be coming up on your, over the next couple of years, on your Pluto transit, and you're coming into a Saturn return. So definitely there's a major shift in career and money from career and the people you hang out with. And I would say if this is where you're guided, that's where you should be going. Because we feel very strongly the energies as they come in. And you have Neptune in the first house, which is really strongly connecting you to the fantasy realm. So right now, again, with Neptune retrograde in your first house, you're feeling much more clear about some things that you might have not been. Like, you're definitely somebody who is into fantasy realm. You've got a good portion of Pisces in your first house of self. So there's, like, you're able to completely visualize things. Like, as a writer, you're very visual, and you can see it all clearly, and then you just write it like you're watching a movie in your head.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
and you have it in your 12th house as well. So you have Chiron in the 12th, so there's something, again, the wounded healer, which means that you had some kind of wounding around your own intuition and psychic ability and the visions you have. That is something that you will use to move past into using that as a springboard, so to speak, for the next phase. Okay? So,
okay, great.
Yeah, that looks good. I mean, you just went through a really big year of Jupiter on your Pluto, shifting and changing things around, getting your own needs met within marriage and partnership. And, that energy is moving into the commitment phase of your chart. So you're really looking at where you're putting your commitments and who you're giving your commitments to. And again, Jupiter and Libra just came in. So I think this next year, that's the book year as well. But if you're not partnering with somebody for the book, that's a strong possibility over this next year that there's going to be a new partnership coming in around that.
Okay, that's interesting.
All right.
All right, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And have a good week. That Pisces moon is going to be right in your first house, too. So it's going to...
Is that good or bad?
You're going to feel... Well, your boundaries drop, and you feel lazy or you feel dreamy, very meditative and kind of fuzzy. So use it to your advantage. If that's the case, then do writing. If that's your realm, use it to your advantage. Okay? Right. Or take a nap. Either one. Okay. Good talking.
All right.
Thanks for the call. Right,
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You're welcome. Okay, I have one last call. I'm going to see if I can do a quick question. 407, you're on the air. Hi, who's this?
Hi, this is Jennifer.
Jennifer, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Have you called before? You have, haven't you?
I have. I called a couple weeks ago.
Okay. That's right. What can I do for you real quick?
I wanted to know if you could look at my husband's chart today. Tell me what's going on in the financial.
Okay. Real quick, what's his information?
11/22/59, 1:37 a.m.
What time? 1:37?
1:37 a.m.
1:37.
Chicago.
Okay. Okay, great. And let me just get some of your information up in the top so I can find you again. Let me see. Or find this chart again. If I don't label it, I'll never find it again.
Okay.
I'll put hubby because it's shorter. Okay. Geez, why does it do that? Hang on. Let's see. I just got to re-enter some information because it always does this to me. I just got a quirk in my program where if I get to the bottom and enter stuff and go back to the top, it deletes what was at the bottom. So, okay. All right. We're good now. So what would you like to know? Career or something?
To do with career and finances and whatever stands out.
Yeah, it's coming in for him. He's got right now, so his midheaven, which is the cusp of his career house, is 27 degrees Sagittarius, which means he has his Saturn at 5 Capricorn up in his house of career. So very much corporate energy or traditional, roles in career, bricks and mortar structure, things like that. Pluto has been all over his career house, shifting his mentality, feeling like, okay, I need my needs to be met. There's probably been a lot of fear coming up in him about career and what to do with it. That's going to shift. Mars is coming up on the midheaven. It's 6 degrees off his midheaven, which means taking an action towards a shift, and it could be a job in another place, which Sagittarius represents a long-distance travel or some type of travel opportunity. He does like to travel. He's an adventurer. I don't know if he's, again, musician, comedian, things of adventurous nature, spiritual teacher. All these energies are represented by Sagittarius, which he has Jupiter in. He also has Mercury in Sagittarius right next to Jupiter. So he needs to be an active person. That's in his nature. He's a natural teacher. And so all those opportunities are out there, and they're coming very quickly. When Mars hits his midheaven, I'm just looking for my glasses so I can tell you when that is. So it's going to be at 27 degrees, which is exactly on, 50 minutes, is exactly on the 24th of September. He'll have, I'm doing X, like either he's looking for a new job or he's creating the opportunity for a new job, and that could mean a shift. It could mean something coming in his world and changing it and making it happen, especially because the 24th is only 3 days after Mercury goes direct. Mercury's in his house of work in Virgo, and he's got Capricorn in his house of career. This is someone who is very responsible and structured in what he does in his career life and his work life. Mercury and Jupiter have been going through his work life saying you cannot give everything away anymore and you need to have your needs met. He's done with the first phase of that. The Jupiter and Saturn was there a few years ago. About 5 years ago, Saturn was going through that house. Mercury and Jupiter are just wrapping up. Jupiter wrapped it up. Mercury's wrapping it up. That's the message. The message is I can't be kicked around anymore, and I give and give and give, and I'm not getting compensated, and you need to pay attention to me. This is important. And if he's not getting the message to speak up, like I told a previous caller, that's what he needs to do. He needs to speak up. When Mercury goes direct, he will be able to speak up, and if he doesn't by the time it gets to Libra, there are some opportunities for partnering, and it could be opportunities to partner with you. Your marriage is a focus of this year for him. It's about partnering within a marriage or within a business, and he's in a Venus return right now. There's a lot of Libra energy for him, so he's trying to be cooperative, but back in the back of his mind at work, he is feeling like he's not getting heard. And so when Mars hits 27, again, that's I'm sorry, I said it, the 24th of September, and then Saturn's going to be there. I don't know if it'll be there before the end of the year. It'll be there early next year. And when he gets Saturn on his midheaven early next year, that's going to be a major shift and change in the structure of what he does. So he is completely shifting his career. I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know what he does. I would say there's definitely something around a shift from education into actually making a career from something he's been learning. And basically an avocation becomes a vocation. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And is that what he's trying to do?
Been changing that for like 5 years now. Well, he was in the construction business.
It's manifesting next year. Next year is his go time. Because Saturn hits his midheaven, and it's like, do or die. This is it. Put your money where your mouth is. Make it happen. And I don't think he's going to be able to not do that. At the same time, Uranus is going into his house of money. It's in Aries, and that's the tangibility of his identity in independence and autonomy. He absolutely is moving in. It's just the beginning steps. He's going into the change of career, and it's working towards being the person he wants in his future. So it's all in alignment. It's happening. Okay?
And that all comes around next year, the beginning of next year?
Yeah, early next year. I would give me a call later or, set up a reading or whatever, and we could get more into it. But I've got to end the show, and I thank you so much for the call.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. All right, that's the end of the show. Thank you for listening. Get some naps on Friday and look for what's happening with all the symbols and signals in your life. Take care. Love you. Bye. Thanks for stopping by AstroEnergy this week. If you would like to get a hold of Shelley Overton, you can get her at astrologerangel.com, on Facebook at AstroEnergy or Astrologer Angel. The music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, with additional music by Ironwood Rain. Check them out on the net at ironwoodраin.com.